What is going on, everybody? Thank you for joining in for episode 32 of State of the Art. And not just any episode of State of the Art, we have a guest and we have a very, very awesome guest on here. We are joined with Ace of Ramen Toys. Ace, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just having a bit of sniffles because it's early in the morning. I just woke up. Actually, had a very late night. Basically, slept at about 4:30 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, other than that, I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me on the show. And as I just mentioned to you briefly earlier, right after this show, I'm going to be heading off to the factory to actually look at the injection of the red gull wing. So that's on the list of things to do today.
Busy, busy, busy. I'm sure you're always constantly doing trips back and forth and checking on all that, right?
Yep.
How close do you live to the factory?
It's about 2 hours drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If there is less traffic, about 90 minutes. So yeah, around there.
It's not too bad, but you got to really prepare for it. Be like, yep, I got a 2-hour drive this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you got to come back as well, right? So to and fro.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Now, Ace, everybody's been talking about Ramen Toys, the Ramen Racer. Me and Cox Create also did a video of comparing and contrasting the Ramen Racer to that HasLab that just didn't make it, unfortunately. And I wanted you to come on because I really wanted to get to know you a little bit more, the man behind the company. And honestly, I see you got collections in the background. I wanted to know what exactly was your first toy as a kid?
My first toy as a kid is He-Man, as far as I can tell.
Okay, first toy is He-Man. Do you have a favorite figure from your childhood that you just like? It was the figure.
Wow, the figure. It's actually the figure would be actually the Macross High Comical Joke Machine. You know those?
Macross, yes.
Yeah, in Robotech form, it's by Matchbox. It's this super deformed VF1 that looks like an egg and transforms. That's my most prized possession.
That's
awesome.
For
some reason, I always have it nicely placed in my cupboard. The shelves. Yeah, I think that's the one.
That's awesome. There's not many people that like off the top of their head. Macross is one I think people overlook sometimes. But some of those toys were before their time, I think.
Oh, maybe. And I've had a couple of bootlegs, I think. Bootlegs, I realized looking back, because in Singapore in the 80s, we're still relatively a developing country. And, there is copies of actual products. I do remember because there was no way I could have afforded, or my mom and dad would have afforded those toys looking back in those days. So I sort of like realized that those ones were bootlegs, but the He-Man's originals. Or He-Man, we got it from the departmental stores, the toy stores, whereas the bootlegs actually came from like the smaller mom and pop stationery stores, where it's like the lower income sort of places. So just to share a little bit.
No, that's awesome. And sometimes you got to get some figures that aren't authentic and stuff like that, because the expense, as a growing up, even over here, it's like my parents weren't buying me brand new toys all the time or give me everything. It's like sometimes you got a dollar store Christmas. Sometimes it wasn't the name brand stuff. So I mean, you make do
for bootlegs as well. Bootlegs now are really good. So I mean, most of them.
I mean, I was a big. I ended up getting a bootleg of. This is when I started getting into my YouTube channel, and I ended up ordering it before I realized what it was, but it ended up being a good thing. You remember they did the Masterpiece or whatever Megatron that turned into the gun, and I ended up getting the bootleg one. I was like, oh, this is cheap. Everybody was spending all this money. I'm like, oh, this one's cheap. Let me order it. And then everybody's like, yeah, you just ordered the bootleg one, but then that one fixed paint chipping and all these issues that the original had. So I'm like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, not too bad.
So Now you've been busy and you're
Yes.
pumping out stuff. You got the '80s Commanders.
Yeah.
You got the Red Gull Wing. You got the Ramen Racer, and with the Ramen Racer too. Let's sort of what made you go that route. Let's because I know you there's people out there that have like the positive views, negative views.
Yeah. Thank you.
Why did you come out with the Ramen Racer?
Yeah, the whole basis of it is why I'm in this thing in the first place, right? I love to make stuff. I love making stuff that people don't make. Okay. I like to fill the void. So in fact, like I said, I have to confess, before the Engine of Vengeance, I knew nothing about the HasLab projects except for Unicron. So I sort of heard about Unicron because I'm also kind of like Transformers a little bit, not a lot. And there's this gigantic playset action figure that's being announced. And even though if I don't know about HasLab, people sharing it soon got me aware that there's a huge Unicron being produced. And I thought, yeah, that is quite a project because you will need backers to back something that huge.
Hmm.
That normally wouldn't be something that you would have available in the mass retail. So yeah, that definitely made sense to be a crowdsource project. And then soon after, I heard about the Engine of Vengeance, and I'm not sure where I first came about it, but I definitely just caught wind of it, and there seems to be a lot of videos talking about it. All right, the whole my YouTube page was flooded with this particular project, and I was intrigued, and I went in and I have a look, and that's when I realized that, oh, there was plenty of HasLab projects, and then the Rancor that failed just by like the millimicrons, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
It was almost there, and just because it didn't make a few numbers, it was scrapped. I mean, I would think that Hasbro would say, okay, now that we've gotten 7,995 out of 8,000, we'll make it anyways, right? you know,
Yeah.
but it's kind of weird. It's very weird. So with this uh, project, I was really following it, hearing almost like two sides of the camp about people wanting to buy it, people thinking that it's too expensive that they don't want to buy it, people telling other people not to buy it, people telling people to buy it. So at the end of the day, if you see something you like, you decide or not if you can afford it and if you want to buy it because you like it or not like it, right? So I'm not sure why there was such a huge debate, but the crux of it for me was the way they structured trying to get people to back it by saying that if you back it by this date, we get this number, you'll get this figure, which didn't materialize, of course. And then at the end of the day, we have, from what I recall, a high of 7,000 backers towards 9,000, dropped to
Mhm.
5,000 something. And then at the end of the last few days of the campaign, it crept up another few hundred, but it never reached those numbers again. So I thought to myself, all right, since there's many videos that people wanted this thing and it didn't materialize, and I'm seeing like 5,000, at least at maximum 7,000 people who wanted it, but at the end of the day, 5,000. Now I was thinking to myself, this is an opportunity for me because uh, why not? I could make something like that to fulfill the people who actually wanted and pledged their support for this thing. Granted, of course, I'll not be giving to them verbatim, right? Exactly what it is. I'm not doing that for lots of reasons. So I attempted to do something that would, satisfy a lot of those questions, or rather the criteria, right? Pricing, uh, people wanting it. So I was challenging myself. Could I actually do a litmus test to test, you know, what people are speculating to be true, because I can actually go about to cost it. Of course, granted that my cost is different from Hasbro's cost, but we can sort of like extrapolate. If I'm not totally there, I could be somewhere there. So that was one of my uh, the reasons for it, testing myself to see if I can actually do something and also test what would be actually Hasbro's numbers, right? I'm going to tell the factory I'm going to be doing, minimum of 2,000 pieces. What is the best price you can give me? And that's what I've gotten. So yeah, the whole basis of this thing was to try my best to offer a product to at least what I thought is 5,000 people who are interested in getting it. Again, granted that there's no figure and it's not verbatim to what Hasbro has offered. So something similar, and then there was a call for uh, 12 scale vehicles to fit those action figures. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, okay, it makes sense. So that we are actually checking out a lot of boxes. Is more than just making something for that one particular reason, which is the Ghost Rider, right? 50th anniversary Ghost Rider. Now it seems that, oh, people actually want to have a car. People actually want to have a HasLab, but they say, I'm not going to put on the flames. I just want a car. So I'm hearing all these comments and I'm putting all together to formulate my recipe. And that's what came of the ramen racer. Yeah.
That's a heck of a recipe. And it's awesome that you did listen. I mean, we already got somebody in the chat saying, "Let's get 2K for those sweet tires."
Yeah. So to touch a little bit on this is, again, as we evolve, that means we roll the punches. That means we, take it as we evolve, right? Basically. So the whole idea was that I set out to do 2,000 MOQ, and of course the 2,000 is a combination of our direct sales as well as wholesale numbers. So I'm expecting that at the end of the day, when the wholesale numbers comes back to us, like BBTS, partners from other continents, that we will get that 2,000. So I'm pretty confident that we can do that, right?
Nice.
But when I saw the numbers coming in and we hit 1,000 pieces, so then I sort of challenged the team and sort of try to incentivize the community and saying, let's get us to 2,000, right? If you get us to 2,000 direct sales from the website, we're going to throw in the translucent wheels that was requested for at the beginning, that wasn't given again because we're not trying to do something verbatim to the product, but as an added bonus, as an added demand, we want to throw it in, and hopefully that can be perceived in a correct way and not us trying to mimic something 100%, which actually is not right.
Right.
It's always good to have your own flair and your own style to it, and that's what it is. We don't provide the translucent wheels on the base model, right? But again, if we can get to 2,000, let's throw in what the community wants, which is the translucent wheels. And then again, one more thing, we talked about the rechargeable batteries, which I actually have a sample right here, right? Rechargeable batteries. We wanted to maybe put a cover over it so that when you open up the trunk, you don't see this, but you see something nice, aesthetic, pleasing to your eyes. So we thought about the ammo crate. So that again is another new tooling, not factored into the original costing. So, but if we can get to 2,000, then we will gladly tool this particular piece and then throw it into the trunk. No pun intended. But having said that, again, I went another step further, just with this mind that's always thinking and moving. I said, okay, how about making a small contest and have people design it, because we had some comments about it looking too plain and too bland. So I said, okay, let's have some people design it. The win design will get a free ramen racer, and then the design will be used in the mass production. However, I'm so sorry to say that we're actually going to announce really soon to cancel this contest due to the lukewarm response that we got. Right, we didn't really actually get a lot of good inputs or entries per se, so we'll just scrap it. But we have something else planned to replace this campaign.
Man, how did nobody jump on that?
Yeah,
they had a chance.
Yeah, basically what I thought. So in my opinion, what I thought designers and enthusiasts would do was to just put on prints on the green in white, for example, like skulls, like crossbones, like .5 caliber or something, or explosive danger,
Yeah.
just decked it out. So because the idea again, we're giving something that is an added bonus, and we had little time to think about how to make it look as nice as possible. So the ammo crate was the idea, and we presented it as fast as we could to the community without too much thinking of how to actually decorate it aesthetically. But if people thought it was bland, then hey, why don't you tell us how you want it, and we can make it, because it's a small endeavor for us, but it would be huge in terms of the fans getting actually their design on something that's being produced. So I thought that would be fun. Yeah, but indeed it was a lukewarm response, and I thank the people who have submitted. I can count them with my 5 fingers here.
Wow.
But it's fine. It wasn't a well broadcast campaign anyway, so my fault, right? Our fault on that. But in hindsight, I think it's for the better, because I think designing something bigger with a bigger canvas is better than a small little ammo box. So I'll have more details on that.
You
when
could
we
also
confirm.
do
But the ammo
like,
box didn't look bad
Yeah.
though. Like if you see here, I mean, it's great. I mean, what do you expect out of military?
well,
Like
what would make more sense? This is a hot rod in drag racers. In the trunk, they usually have a fuel cell because they get rid of the gas tank. So you could just have like a silver. It's basically just a box with a hole in the top for the gas to go in, and that would make a lot of sense. I mean, just an idea.
All right.
or a shell of a body that's been hogtied and tossed in the trunk.
Yes, it's too much.
You know, like a Punisher style type of criminal that's been tied up and tossed in the trunk or something. But
Maybe.
we did get a super chat. Ryan Laser Pants from 3POA
Laser
says
Pants.
hi.
Hi, Lizard Pants. Mr. Ryan.
And but yeah, so that's awesome. The Ramen Racer I think is awesome, and I don't think that anybody should take that, that hit 2000, we're only gonna do this if you hit 2000. I think that's just a cool thing to do. It's a generous thing as a company to be like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
we're gonna get people are buying this. It's like we're gonna make it. Let's just make something fun with it. Here,
yeah.
we'll toss these
And
in.
if I may, you're right. I'm pushing it to even 3,000.
Yeah.
And if we get 3,000, we will make Agent Scully. Right? I mean, wait, to be clear, Agent Scully available for a crowdfunding effort. That's what I mean. Yeah. So we're actually gonna see if we can actually get to that summit of 3,000. Then we will reveal an Agent Scully that you can actually help to make possible with your contributions to the cause. Yeah.
What about Molder?
Oh no. Skull as in SKULL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scully.
Yeah. So we got the head to give away, the flame head,
Mhm.
right? And people were saying that there's no figure. Then let's move to the figure, and the
Yeah.
figure will only come if we get enough support for the
Right.
project, to the extent that we can actually prototype something for you guys to look at and see for yourself, and then decide if you want to fund it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting excited. I thought we were going to get some X-Files figure.
Sorry for the disappointment.
Next
and
time.
see, and for the people that, and you gave that option, you're like, hey, for you guys that are complaining about not having a figure, here we're gonna have an opportunity. So now you can't complain because
Yeah.
I'm giving you the opportunity. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
And speaking of figures, we're gonna jump into one that is sort of fresh off the press. I do have some shots here. You got your Marshall.
Stop the press. Who's that?
This guy is cool.
This is such a cool looking figure. The shield, the detail, just the overall presence of this figure. I mean, it hits you right in the nostalgia, and the amount of detail you punched into this guy is phenomenal. And I found this is a 6-inch figure. Right?
Yeah,
1/12 scale.
6.6.
and I think it just looks great. You've been teasing a bunch of pictures, and I love how through your socials and everybody watching, all Ramen Toys is information down below from their website to their Facebook to their Instagram. So make sure you give them a follow so you can see this process, because you are not scared to show your creative process behind a lot of your designs. You'll start showing the 3D sculpting, and then you just the evolution of what you're making.
Yeah, why not, right? Share the journey.
And then
so if I may, you can actually see with the poncho on.
Oh, dude.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, so poncho on. So this is not soft goods. It's a molded piece, but it's soft. It's a soft plastic, right?
It looks good though.
Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah.
And I really don't have issues with
whoops.
He's like, I don't want my hat on me. I don't have an issue with like plastic capes and stuff if it's pliable and it doesn't restrict your finger.
Yeah, that one doesn't look like it would be in the way.
No, so the poncho is meant to be a more aesthetic display, and then you can take it off obviously to pose the guy properly, right? You can take it off. So yeah, and then there's a separate vest that goes on. This is soft, right? It goes on to the body. We've shown this before. Yeah, and then for those who have not seen the other aspects, there's a tomahawk, right? There's a holster with the blaster, right? So it's all there, I'm gonna again. So we felt that the coloration was what we think fans would want, because again, it could be just a slight deviation, because what we have presented apparently is feedback to be a bit too yellow. But then again, we were sort of like maybe in two minds, because when we did the 80s Commanders, we didn't want it to be too vibrant. We wanted it to be more realistic, and we gave the coloration to be more muted. And then there were calls for having it to be vibrant, and that's when we basically listen and then went the vibrant route, right, with the figures. Okay, so we thought this time around, let's just go ahead and be vibrant, right? And then it was there's always going to be a comment, and then it's too vibrant now, and okay, we're gonna be switching it out to another set of colors, right? Just a little bit to tune it so that the yellow wouldn't be as yellow as you see here, but more mustard, right?
Yeah.
So this would be the final time you're going to see this rendition of the prototype in this color, because once I'm going to review the next iteration, we're going to bring him back to the costume artist, all right, and then have him don on a better shade. So the next time we'll see him with pictures would be with the better shade, so to speak. Yeah.
And that head sculpt is phenomenal too. Like you
guys. Oh yeah, and
also
we I think Mr. Luke Wakeford, who designed this figure, had him. Sorry, just okay. Had him in a way that is more realistic. So again, maybe our my idea of having the vibrant colors was maybe a little bit on the error side, right? I should have gone, because the head itself is not like a cartoon accurate. It's definitely more realistic. So a more realistic head automatically equates to a more realistic coloration. So take some responsibility for that, for the first coloration. And we've gotten some feedback that he looks a little bit senior, all right, with the receding hairline and wrinkles. So we've also gone back to give him a more de-aging look. So this sculpt, again, is the last time you'll see this sculpt. It will become a younger Marshall the next time around you see him. Yeah.
But with the vibrant colors too, if you think about it, is that you could do, it gives you opportunity to maybe make a cartoonier head and then be like, okay, we know these colors work this way, alternate version, you can get yourself a cartoon accurate, looking Marshall,
for the next, let's sell one first, right? Let's one step at a time. Yeah. Yeah, I've learned that in this community we can't please everybody, and that applies to every single uh, community. You can have a Ferrari, and there'll be people that will say it doesn't look nice, right? So it depends. So
That's true. That's
yeah.
true.
So anyway,
We had Frank here. He wants to know: is there a release date for Brave Star yet?
so initially the idea was to use this prototype, take the pictures, and then have it available for a May early bird. But now they got to go back to the drawing board to at least make the coloration, and I won't be actually in town from the 1st of May until the 20th of May. So that means May is gone. I'm going to be off to the Shizuoka Hobby Show in Japan, in Shizuoka. And that means that this early bird offering would have to be delayed until earliest June. I'll come back on the 20th, 21st, and then I'll look at the recolor. I will, hopefully it's good. And then with the hits, the new hits, repaint it as well, and then take some pictures, and then revise, well, not revise, but edit the picture so that it's available for the website for early bird. So around June we can actually have the early bird up for the Marshall, and then based on a June early bird, normally the delivery is 6 months later. So I would say more towards latest by after Chinese New Year next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, you look at a track record, right? We had the first campaign of the 80s Commanders with a May early bird, and we delivered in November.
Wow.
So that's already the proof of the pudding. So when we give a timeline, normally we will achieve it. But for the Red Gull Wing, for example, we have missed the deadline because we had started the campaign around June, if I'm not mistaken, June or July, and then we had anticipated a release date in the first quarter of this year. So the first quarter came and went. We're in April, which is just the month after the first quarter, and we anticipated that we can deliver it in May. But as of the earlier in the week where I got the pre-production, or rather the latest test shot, we call it MK4 because that's the fourth test shot. The first test shot, if you look at the archives of Ramen's website, Facebook, the first test shot was actually a almost whitish, milkish color and black test shot. That was just to have to show that the molds are there. There was no functionality yet. There was no springs, nothing. It's just a piece with all the parts put together. And then we shortly had the pink test shot, which we made a little video on. We showed the pink test shot. So that's MK2. And then we had a beige test shot, right, where I actually showed the functionality of the thing, the wings popping out, things moving. So that was test shot number 3. But again, every test shot had its kinks and problems that we need to address on the tooling. So we thought that from the beige to this one, this will be the final. But upon inspecting test shot number 4, which is now injected in red, there were some issues that I saw. Also, the engineers agreed that these are issues that needs to be refined. So we had to go back to adjust the tooling. So based on this timeline, we are going to be delivering in July instead of May. So that is the thing. So before anybody says, oh, so come July, you're going to tell us that it's going to be August or September, then who knows? It could be, right? It could be, because to be honest, who knows, right? But
right.
We are confident that this July date will be good. And that's the reason why I'm off after this stream to go look at the tooling and then look at the colors that will be injected. So these are all, real life, actual life updates and progress that I can share to the best of our abilities. Yeah.
And I think that's something that is awesome about you and your company, is like you're pretty transparent on everything that you've been doing with all your products that you're from the development process. You know, not many people do that. The Canuck did say, Ace, thank you for what you're providing the fans.
No, thank you guys, for providing to us. Yeah.
Now, and then another figure that I know a lot of people are anticipating. We have ourselves the Jolly Rogers pirate.
Oh, really? Is that really anticipating this? Because this
I think
was just a little pet project of mine because I'm into aircrafts, right? I'm a plastic modeler since the age of 12 or 13, if I recall. And my first model was a F-14 Jolly Rogers, 144 scale. I didn't have a chance to paint it because I was so beginner. And aircrafts, jets, need for speed has always been a little story of mine. So I thought that I would make a set of pretty cool looking pilots in 112 scale. And yeah, that was just it. I'm not sure if people. I'm surprised that people are anticipating on these guys because these are all really generic pilots in real squadrons. So the Jolly Rogers is a real squadron. The Wolfpack VF1 is a real squadron. In fact, the VF1, the reason why it's the VF1 is that it's the very first squadron of the U.S. Navy, right? So, and the very first squadron that the F-14 actually went into service under. So I'll be so if you get the gist of the game, is I'll be amortizing this tooling to make different helmet types of different squadrons. Obviously, most naval aviators they have a generic white helmet. Only a select few would design their helmets with, you know, is it graffiti or
decals or
yeah. So
yeah.
I'll be choosing those squadrons instead of just a generic white one. And of course, you will have, if you are into the details, then you will know that a Navy pilot looks different from a Air Force pilot, and that will be the evolution of this. And of course, there's different kind of helmets. This is the HGU 33, used back in the 70s and 80s. And then as you progress to the 90s, then you have the HGU 55, and then you have those with the other system that has late eye tracking. So those are just like advancements. If we ever take off, no pun intended, with this line, then we can investigate into tooling other helmets, making other suits, and of course, not just going to be selling you one hit. We're developing other hits so that each pilot would be distinctively different, right? But of course, for uh, illustration purposes, I've done only one hit for the two designs that you're seeing now because we are developing the other hits. This was really a plug-in at the last moment. Again, no pun intended, right? Because
Right.
initially we had another guy that was in the pole position, but he had to take a back seat, right? So up steps the naval commander, right, to perform this role, and yeah, and and this figure will not just be standalone like that. I'm still developing it. I'm just showing some pictures early because of what happened with the Maverick, right? We are in negotiations with Paramount. Obviously, we got a CND, and we're in negotiation. We're saying that now that you're contacting us, can we actually get a license? So, of course, we know that getting a license would be basically asking for the moon. Uh, but if we don't get one character, how about the other characters? Are the other characters also as protective of their image rights? Right? Could we do other characters? Right? So it's open for negotiation, and hence we are saying that we're in negotiations with the licensor. But to fill that void, and I don't want people to think that we've just dropped off, I'm showing everybody the Aces of Aviation, which again, it's not something that we're doing just because that is now on the back burner. The Ace of Aviation has always been, as I mentioned earlier, a line that I want to fulfill because I don't see, unless I'm mistaken, I don't see any figures out there in 112 skills pilot nicely decked out. Okay. So I've seen it in 112. I've seen it, bigger scales, the 112 figures with the actual real fabric and stuff like that. And to me, those look kind of weird because it never really fits well, right? The fabrics are all over the place. Either it's too big or, so I wanted something that's more form fitting, that you can really see the whole essence of a pilot. And then that's what I'm doing, right, with this Ace of Aviation, right? And then Maverick was always going to be a guy that's going to be inside this line, but I put him in pole position just for the fact that it's a show stealer, right? Showstopper, right? So we put him there first. So yeah, again, back to this guy, showing you initial images because we want to fill that void, right? We want to sort of like a contingency plan that we're doing this also, not to worry, right? And as I'm developing this, we're going to actually put in proper details before I actually put this on pre-order, because we're going to, like I said, a different head. You're not going to get two same heads. You're going to get hands that actually make sense, because in a pilot, they actually want to have gesturing that I was over here, the bogey was here. You want to have this kind of pose where the guy is actually, describing what happened. You're going to have him like maybe wearing his gloves, so sort of like a action like that. So these are all in development, right? And it needs time, along with the pilot's back that holds his helmet and stuff like that. So yeah, everything is there. And the best thing now is that initially the idea was to have the patches pad printed on, right? Pad printed on. But that would have been awesome, right? To have something pad printed on. But now we are actually switching to stickers, but not your low quality paper stickers. It's going to be a high grade sticker that has a texture on top that mimics a embroidered patch, right? Not 100%, but you get the idea, right? It's going to be have some texture on top. It's going to be a good material, and then it's going to be a sticker sheet that is separate that you apply on yourself. So if you can apply on yourself, then you can apply on what you want for whoever it is.
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Now, are we looking at maybe parachutes in the future?
Never thought of parachutes.
No. I was just thinking of having like those shots of like the pilots, getting caught into like, landing, taken, or getting caught in a tree or something like that. But
but the ejection seats will be a possibility, because I always love how the ejection seat looks, right? Really detailed ejection seat where you can display the pilot sitting on, even though it looks weird just sitting on the ejection seat, but that could be a actual display piece by itself. The ejection seat elevated on a base, and then the pilot goes on top of it. Yeah, that's an idea.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And look at that. Look at the passion you have behind it too. It's just like with you saying you started with doing the models and stuff like that. It just like, I like how you're implementing your passion and what you grew up with.
Again, I mentioned this too many times, right? Steve Jobs said that the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And always keep looking and don't settle. We never settle. We're always trying to improve the figure, right? From the first one, second one, third one, we're always improving. Yeah,
that is true. And sort of speaking of improving, just to sort of show everybody as well, let's see, the slideshow. So you are doing Masters of the Verse. You're doing some head sculpts.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show this because of the fact that look at the actual changes that you went from what you advertised to what it actually turned out to be.
It looks so much like Dolph.
Like,
not exactly yet. We get some comments that it's not yet, and we don't claim it to be 100%. Of course, we do our best.
It's enough though.
Look better. Yeah.
And actually, it looks like you have one in your hand.
Oh yeah. So this is verse 3, and verse 3. Is he coming off?
It looks good.
Yeah, verse 3. So for the Origins body, right? Oops, his head is not focusing.
There
it goes.
Yeah. So yeah. So it really looks much better in person for some reason, right? So I think on a live display like that, it looks even better than the photographs. And photographs always have color. You can even see some color differences between his face and the body, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's because we just can't get it exactly the same because the head's original injected color is a bit different from this body. So we do our best to actually paint over. So yeah,
That's good.
so
That looks good. And
go ahead,
Josh.
Well, I was going to say Ace was talking about how he likes to fill the gaps in the collecting community. So I'm just going to put this out there: Universal Soldier figures.
oh, Van
that
Damme?
would be Van Damme and Dolph.
Oh, okay.
You already got Dolph's face.
All right.
You just change his hair. We're good to go. We got that.
All right,
one.
good to go. Okay, we'll look at that.
Now the Canuck did ask, he says, will any be available at Joe Fest?
Unfortunately, no, because Joe Fest is just around the corner, June. Maybe next year. Next year we can plan for that. Yeah.
And he was saying that we need some fighter jets now for these.
Ooh, 1/12 scale is really big. It's I mean,
I've seen people 3D print them, and they're like a 3D print jets, and
I
they're
think
huge.
a 1/12 scale is as big as my table here, right? Your typical computer table.
It'd be like that new
workstation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 4 foot.
It might even be just a bit longer than the Hot Toys Batmobile.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's big. It's big.
You'd have to have major space for that. And even if you're suspending it from your ceiling, it's going to take up a lot of ceiling space too.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Skew Raider did say a cockpit for it with ejection seat would rock. So I think that would look cool if you can get like the blast effect underneath it looking right. I think those would be cool ways to.
We'll see how it develops. There's always room for imagination and creativity.
And you guys are killing it in that aspect. And then just so people are aware as well, this is what you're going to be checking on after the stream here.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
3 3/4 inch figure, right? They're 3 3/4.
No, not 3 3/4 inch. Only like 76 mm. So about 7 cm. 7.5 cm tall. It's the same. It's the same scale as the original Kenner. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same scale but articulated.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I have a sample here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like 3 inches, 2.9.
Yeah. So I have.
Forget showing a slide. If you're busting out the bag of goodies right there.
Yeah. So that's the actual Matt Hawking versus the Matt Tracker. All right. So you can see it there. There you go.
See, my brain, I was thinking that's awesome. The amount of articulation you're able to achieve.
So you can actually do the right.
Yeah, he's gonna drive.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Matt Tracker.
And see, nobody's really doing that size with that type of articulation.
Yeah, so
that's
well.
awesome.
To be fair, the Mega Constructs He-Man is such articulation.
Oh,
yep.
But it's still designed sort of,
and it's even smaller.
But it's Mega Constructs looking though.
Yeah, but it has the articulation, right?
Yeah.
So credit where due. Credit where due.
That is true.
It's about the same size as a mini mate too. Yeah.
Mini mates. Yeah, maybe mini mates are a little bit smaller. Mini mates.
Yeah.
They got some articulation in there too.
Yeah.
I think everybody just trying to be like, hey, Lego, they don't got the elbow bends and all this stuff. They're so stiff and,
Yeah.
But that is awesome. Wait, what is this? One more update to the request list. Someone said that the pole position cars and figures requested would go well in the Makina line if they were done versus 1/12 like the original.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Lots of requests. Lots of requests.
And then yeah, somebody was saying that the Canuck must have a warehouse in his backyard
Yeah.
for a plane.
Well, he said he bought two of the ramen racers also. So.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I mean, would you have ever thought, Ace, that like as a kid, you're painting these models, you're playing with He-Man, that you would be making your own toys?
No, no.
Like,
I wanted to be a fighter pilot or a lawyer.
Wow, that's like
Yeah. You know why? Because I have no idea what I was talking about. Because you know, fighter pilot, cool, right? I want to be a cool guy, so I want to be a fighter pilot. But my eyesight is not a fighter pilot's ability, and my psychomotor, right? It's not good. You got to like do this and do that, and you got to, you know, coordinate your movements with your. So it's not. I'm not the most nimble guy around, and lawyer because I like to talk. I thought that a lawyer is the guy that talks. So I'm mistaken. A talk show host is the guy that talks. So yeah. So.
Well, we're glad you decided to make toys. It worked out.
Yeah.
But it was it's years of toil, right? I started with as early as 2007 when I joined Popbox Collectibles in Hong Kong to make the first ever product that I managed, the iRobot Bust. And then we went on to do Robotech 12-inch figures. Some call them dolls. And then we did some Transformers movie, the first movie, you know, electronic bust of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. And then we did some Batman, Dark Knight Rises. No, before that, the Joker one, right? So we did some ornamental keychain products. There was more 3D in nature. So it's a long road. It's a long road up till myself coming out on my own in 2014 with my first product, which is the Age of Extinction license, doing coin banks. So you can see how I developed very mundane, simple, silly products, right? No articulation, nothing action figure. In fact, I never thought I would handle action figures because I'm always a very static guy, right? Even my aircraft models is all static. We want to make them static because they are, to me, more for display than to play. But I sort of got back into the play, you know, factor in the years that followed, and you know, I tried to apply the realism and accuracy of my static models onto the figures, and that's how you get things like this, right? It's realistic and it's an action figure. Yeah. So yeah.
See, you're the true Todd father there. That's what Todd McFarlane tries to say about his stuff,
right?
but it doesn't. He doesn't really execute very well.
Oh no. He's an artist, right? I again, I'm not well versed on Mr. McFarlane, but from what I know back in when I was a little teenager, I was seeing his Spawn, created by McFarlane. I believe he's an artist. He can draw. Yeah. He can. You know, I can't draw, right? I can't. So yeah, definitely. He's where he is today because he has the proper talents. Yeah.
But he just needs to be a little bit more disciplined, like you, a little bit for the accuracy. Right? For the accuracy, because there's sometimes his what he's based on, and I don't know if he's the one who's like designing his figures completely, or if he's seeing them all. Like, and again, it's like. Yeah. Can't just assume one side without knowing the whole story. But at least as the company, I just wish they'd add a little bit more love to their figures. But they do deliver some solid release figures, though. Some of their bigger ones.
Yeah.
But love the McFarlane line, so just depends on what you like.
And then everybody's going to start loving the Ramen Toys line.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anybody that is watching right now, if you guys have any questions for Ace, please, and you haven't asked him already, go ahead and ask now, because I'm trying to let him go on time. We got 10 minutes so he can do his 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's been a pleasure having you on, Ace. It's definitely the passion behind how you're talking about each one of your lines and stuff like that is just, it's great. You're just not sitting there like, oh, I'm just doing this because of this. Like, you have the passion, you have the energy behind it, and
Oh,
people don't realize it's like 8:30 in the almost 8:30 in the morning over there. So it's
And
like you have
yeah.
the energy so early.
he got up at
Yeah.
7:30, and he said that he went to bed at 4:30. So
Yeah,
Right.
I got to confess because I watched the English Premier League live broadcast between Arsenal and Manchester City.
Oh, okay.
So it started at 3 a.m. and it finished at about 4 something. So
you only
yeah.
got like 3 hours of sleep.
yeah. So yeah. And it's gonna be a hectic, like I said, it's a hectic days ahead because I'm actually preparing for the Shizuoka Hobby Show. So I'm actually monitoring and managing a few models that I need to display at the show. So they have basically only a few days left. I only have until this weekend to have everything done because
Wow.
May 1st is the holidays in China. So even though they only rest for like 2 days, May 2nd, they come back on May 3rd. But I'm already off on a plane on May 2nd to Bangkok for a bit of a vacation before the hobby show in Shizuoka. So I'm gonna be off. Well, I'm not gonna be offline. I'm always gonna be online. So I'm just gonna be taking some time off to make this trip there. I'll be there on the 2nd until the 6th. On the 7th, I have a morning flight. In fact, the flight to Bangkok from here, it's a morning flight at 5 a.m. So I'm going to be getting to the airport sometime at 3 a.m. or the night before. I'll figure it out later. And then my flight from Bangkok back to Hong Kong is 7 a.m. in the morning. So I got to get to the airport again at about 5.
Nobody wants you to sleep.
And then it seems like I gotta manage myself probably because I don't want to fall sick before the show in Japan, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure I manage it properly and then probably eat better, not too spicy. So on the 7th, I arrive in Hong Kong and I spend maybe a day there, but my next flight to Japan would be 8 a.m. in the morning, right? 8 a.m. in the morning on the 8th. Right, so I'm going to be traveling there, and then once I get in, I have one night of rest again before the next morning. I'll take a train again in the morning to Shizuoka. So it's about, I think it's about an hour plus train from Tokyo to Shizuoka, and I'll be having like 3 days of trade show there. I'll probably do a live stream to show people on my channel what's going on in the show, and then complete that, some R&R in Japan. Again, it's not R&R to let your hair down, but R&R to actually go to the hobby shops, check out what's new in Japan. I've not been there in the last 4 years, right? COVID pandemic, so go to check out what's in the stores in Japan, get some insights on the latest models, latest Japanese gadgets and gimmicks, and then maybe spend one day in Tokyo Disneyland again to see what's happening there, the novelties of the products, what lights up, what doesn't, what spins and what doesn't. So I'm getting all my ideas from everywhere.
You're
And
gonna
then
bring
come
an
back.
empty suitcase and you're gonna buy a bunch of stuff, probably, right?
No, I can't really buy. It's too expensive. All the stuff, and it's with all these are made in China, but you can't access it because it's made and then shipped directly to Disneyland. So you don't smell it at all. So you have to buy it at the retail price. It's kind of expensive. So once that's done, I come back to over here in mainland China on the 20th of May and get right back into work on all these things. Yeah.
Makes sense of why you need to have a little bit of vacation before you go on this crazy morning, not sleeping
Yeah, it doesn't
routine.
sound like you're gonna sleep during May at all.
Now Judd did say when you said 1/12 scale, the dolls, he says everything we buy are dolls. Laugh out loud. The term action figures made up to make fathers feel better about buying them for their sons.
Yeah.
And Ski Raider said, thanks for being on the stream. Please continue to keep us updated.
Thank you,
Ted
Ski Raider.
Darkclaw from Hella Dope Toys says, Ace, that sounds awful.
Which sounds awful.
You doing all this traveling and not
not
getting much sleep.
Yeah.
So, but all right. Well, I think everybody sort of winded down. I'm going to let you get ready to head out
Thank
for
you.
your 2-hour drive. I do thank you for taking the time out of your morning to join in and talk about some of your products. And it was awesome. I love the insight, and you're more than welcome back at any time you feel like you want to come back.
Thank you.
So,
Definitely. Thank you for your time. Right. Thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
not a problem.
It was very like what do you call it? We learned a lot about the inner workings of Ramen Toys.
Yeah. And
So-
everybody that's been watching, you can follow Ramen Toys. All the information is down below. Website, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Go follow so you can
And
see
Twitter.
what's coming out.
Twitter, yeah.
And wait, what's Twitter? Oh,
Yeah,
let me
Twitter
add
as well.
I'll have to add the Twitter on there too. I don't dabble with Twitter too much because I don't really I'm
Yeah.
not too keen on how it functions yet. And I'm like, I have one, but I don't really
Yeah.
mess with it. And the Canuck does say he looks forward to seeing you at Joe Fest. Awesome.
Next year, maybe. Yeah, next year. Yeah.
So, but I do thank you, and everybody that's watching. You know, you can find Cox Create on Instagram and on Toy Talk every Mondays. You know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on Twitter apparently, but I don't know how to use it really. But you know where to find me on YouTube. But I do thank you guys for tuning in. And as I tell you guys with every video that I do, I want you guys to have the best luck hunting, keep on collecting, and have a beautiful day.